Good morning. We're going to begin today with some singing. This is the same song prelude we began with last week, Courage, My Friend, an anti-apartheid protest song, which used to be sung as people were being led off to prison. It begins with a call and response, and then we all sing the words when you see them up there, "You do not walk alone." We all sing those together. And then same thing, a little call and response, and then we'll sing the words, "Sing your spirit home." So it'll be like this. Courage, courage, my friends. Everyone, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you. Everyone, and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Resilience, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you, and sing your spirit home. Justice, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mariella Keblusek, and I'm on your board of directors. We acknowledge that our campus is located on traditional, unsurrendered, and unceded Algonquin Anishinaabeg territory, and that the work of reconciliation is a responsibility of our congregation and of all Canadians. And now I have a few board announcements. The Journey Group continues to meet on the first and third Tuesdays of the month. The next meeting is December 2nd, and the topic will be Communities of Care. Please see the flyer or Emma Lilly. Emma Lilly, you can raise your hand. She'll be at the back after the service, and there's flyers back on the table for more information. Next Sunday, December 7th, plan to stay after the service and join our choirs at 1 p.m. for a memorable concert that we're calling Elbows Up. Hold on, visual aid. Okay, you'll see these all over the place. We're calling it Elbows Up, celebrating Canadian songwriters and composers from coast to coast. There will be a light lunch served at noon. Childcare is available for all who register in advance. See the EUU for more information. And on Wednesday, December 10th, we welcome back our own Maury Prevost and the Beacon Community Concert Band for their annual winter food cupboard benefit concert here in Worship Hall. Entrance is by donation. The concert is at 7. Come at 6:30 for refreshments and stay after the concert for some seasonal cheer. And now I'm very pleased to say, last week, if you were here, you will remember that we announced 4 new members approved by the board. The board is very pleased to announce that it has approved 9 more membership applications. Quite amazing. And those 9 are Jonathan Dench, Ray Gendron, Kalegaro Kumbo, Renata Steinmetz, Susan Barker, Nikki Diamond, Barry Halden, Paul Julian, and Eric Ranger, who is rejoining the congregation. We look forward to their involvement and contributions to the life of the congregation. Next Sunday, we'll be honoring new members during the Sunday service, and there will be a cake reception afterwards. And now, I'd like to welcome Phil Nagy and a few friends to bring us a very special message from the pledge team.
If we'd been quicker, we would have spelled friends with a PH.
Do you have anything to say?
No. You sent in your dough,
All that dough,
church accounts are all aglow.
oh, we're aglow.
When the call went out, you sent in some bread
and got us ahead on our cash flow.
FirstU has your
We
plan.
like your plan.
You have helped us keep our
We're
end.
on the edge.
Now your moolah gives the church a
Step up,
thanks to a cup that overflows. Yes, you sent in your dough. If the pinch to give was too
a
tough,
little tough
you could spread it through the year.
through the years.
Then you saw it wasn't too rough,
Not too rough.
and you keep us in the clear.
Way to do it, nothing to it.
You sent in your dough.
Thanks for the dough.
Piles and piles and piles of dough.
We love the dough.
Thanks for everything you gave
From the heart.
and such a good start gives us a glow. Yes, you sent in your, yes, you sent in your, thanks to all for your dough. Thank you, Pat and Doug and Ann. Those words by Doug McDonald. Okay, it's the end of the pledge campaign. Our goal was 215 pledges, and we got 218. We have 21 brand new pledges and 6 from people returning after an absence. For those who pledged last year, their total is up almost 9%. The dollar total goal was $380,000, and we have $388,000. Now, yesterday, we got 2 pledges. So I know there are some last-minute people. We're going to leave the box open for a couple of weeks. We're going to leave the button on the EUU, and we'll leave the pledge button in the, on the website for a little while longer. But I'm done, so thank you very much.
What great news. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Ani Kinawea. So greetings, friends, and welcome to this hour of worship at the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. My name is Lisa, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm your worship associate for today. Today, we welcome the Unitarian Gogos, Joan Turner and Sheila Green, as well as Robin Scobie from the One World Grannies organization. And I'm going to invite Joan to come up to the stage to introduce our service for today.
Thanks, Lisa. I'm Joan Turner, as Lisa said, and my pronouns are she and her. Tomorrow is World AIDS Day. The first outbreak of AIDS was in 1981. AIDS is shorthand for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, a disease caused by the human immunodeficiency virus. Today, 44 years later, the HIV epidemic remains a public health threat. Each year, there's an international AIDS conference in some part of the world. This year, in July 2025, it was held in Rwanda, Africa. Next year, it will be in Brazil. In July 2006, the AIDS conference was held in Toronto. In 2006, a while ago, I read Race Against Time, authored by Stephen Lewis. And that July, I learned about the Stephen Lewis Foundation on the CBC News. Stephen Lewis and his daughter Alana Landsberg Lewis had launched their Grandmothers Campaign, an innovative project to connect Canadian grandmothers with African grandmothers. Many African grandmothers were mourning the death of their adult children and were caring for their orphaned grandchildren. At a meeting of the Women's Personal Growth Group here in the lounge in the fall of 2006, about 4 of us decided to form a Grannies group in support of the Stephen Lewis Foundation. Many other women joined us. After meeting for a few years and holding fundraisers such as our plant sale, we named ourselves Unitarian Gogos because this is where we meet, and we chose the turquoise t-shirts that we wear today, and you'll see a few of us around. We have been meeting, educating, planning, and fundraising for the Stephen Lewis Foundation ever since. Some of you recently ordered cheese from us. It's one of our newest fundraisers. Another local Grannies group, Grands and Friends, helped us learn how to do this fundraiser. The cheese will arrive in Ottawa from the Eastern Townships on Tuesday, and we will package it downstairs here. Our next fundraiser is our Christmas bake sale on Sunday, December 14th. We are always pleased to welcome new members. Our next meeting will be on Thursday, January 15th. Sheila Green, who will introduce our guest speaker, Robin Scobie, later in the service, is our chair. Unitarian Gogos, Sheila and Mia Overdun, have also gone to Africa with the Stephen Lewis Foundation. Around the world, an estimated 1.3 million newly acquired the HIV virus in 2024. It's a lot of people. International funding cuts, including by the United States, threaten to reverse decades of progress in Africa. South Africa and Eswatini, which was called Swaziland before, have high prevalence rates of HIV. There's no vaccine and no cure for AIDS yet. The HIV virus is transmitted through contact with certain body fluids from an infected person, including blood, semen, and breast milk. The most common way is through unprotected vaginal or anal sex. Before I bought the skirt and apron that I'm wearing at an outdoor market in Cape Town, South Africa, we went to a nearby medical clinic that was filled with very pregnant women being educated and treated so they would not pass the virus onto their babies. There was standing room only, so we didn't stay long. The Stephen Lewis Foundation has made connections with grassroots organizations in 15 African countries. They now have 98 community partners in Africa. When I went to Africa with the Stephen Lewis Foundation in 2008, we visited a number of organizations, such as Kitove Mobile AIDS Organization in Masaka, Uganda. You'll learn more about my experiences in Africa when Jody and I tell you the children's story. And we also have a table set up in Fellowship Hall after this service where there's some information about Kitove and other literature. And we hope that if you like, you'd take some and you'd look at it and you talk to us. And you might also read the words on the back of our t-shirts. Thanks to all who made this service possible. The collection this morning will go to the Stephen Lewis Foundation. Please be generous. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Welcome. I want to say a warm welcome to Robin, who is going to be our guest speaker a little later in the service. I look forward to your reflections. And to all of you, in person and online, we all make this space sacred by our presence. Welcome to all. A special welcome to those who are visiting with us for the first time or the first time in a long time. Know that we are delighted to have you with us. All are welcome here this morning, however you present in body or spirit, whatever path or journey brought you to this place, whatever burdens or dreams you carry, your gifts and your wounds are welcome here. After the service, please join us for coffee and conversation in the fellowship hall. And check out the many activities and ways you can connect with and engage in our community that are detailed in the weekly email EUU newsletter and our website. And you can use the QR code on the back of your program to take a look at that. Whatever brings you to FirstU this morning, may our worship and community help you find and keep your balance and inspire you to lead a loving life of integrity, service, and joy. And now as the choir begins to come to the stage, I'd ask you to please rise in body and spirit as we prepare to sing the hymn 1056 in the Teal hymnal. Well, that's invigorating on a snowy Sunday morning. I would ask Hazel to please come and to light our chalice. Our centering words today are by Craig Rowland, and his poem is entitled, I Breathe. So something that we may all want to do as we read this. So let's take a deep breath in. I breathe in the warmth of this light, its glow filling the spaces where fear and doubt reside. I breathe out the tension I carry. I release what no longer serves me. I breathe in the strength of our community, a sanctuary of diverse voices and shared purpose. I breathe out the urge to go it alone. I embrace the power of togetherness. I breathe in the courage to speak truth, even when it trembles on my lips. I breathe out the silence that holds me back. I make space for honesty and justice. I breathe in the hope of transformation, knowing that we are here to build and to heal. I breathe out despair, trusting that change is born in small acts of love. Our chalice is lit. May each breath remind us of the sacred rhythms of life, the pulse of creation, and the power we hold to shape the world around us. Jen, let's sing.
Good morning, everyone. I am Jody McIntosh, the Director of Religious Exploration, and today I have a friend here, Joan Turner. She's going to be telling our story this morning, and she is both a grandmother and a Gogo granny. So I'm going to turn the story to Joan.
We haven't figured out who's holding the mic. So I guess Jody will. Thank you. I want to expand on what I said earlier, and I see that we have a child in front of us, and I'm really glad that you're there, Hazel. In 2008, I was lucky to be chosen by the Stephen Lewis Foundation to go to Africa. And so we went on an airplane, and we went on another airplane, and finally we got to Johannesburg in South Africa, and then we went on another airplane to Uganda. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about being in Uganda. And I don't know if there's anything on the screen. Yes, there is. And when we were told to get into a white van early one morning, and we went bumping along the road till we got to a place in the country. And the driver said, "Get out quickly." And so we got out as quickly as we could. And there were all these grandmothers. And they were so excited. And they were saying, "Welcome, welcome," in English. And beckoning us to come with them. And they were kind of dancing as they were talking and calling to us as well. And then we sat down, and it was on the ground, and we're listening to some speakers, and I was very hot, and I'd left my hat in the van. So I went to the van, and I got my hat. And when I came back with my hat on, there were two women. And these are dolls to show you kind of what they were like. And there were two women sitting there, and there was a space. So I sat down beside them. And the one, I'm going to hand these to you. We don't quite have enough hands. and then the one handed me, good, we have another helper, handed me a baby. And their precious baby. So I sat there, and there is a picture in Fellowship Hall, if you want to see it, of me holding this baby. I felt so privileged, so really privileged. And then, a little while, they asked me to plant a mango tree. So it was a little tree about this big. And so I planted it in the ground, and they told me that in Africa, where they live, that the tree would grow quickly and produce mangoes. So I don't know if the mangoes would have been this big, but the mangoes would be delicious, as you know. And then the next day, we went to another place in Uganda, and we were watching women in their colorful dresses and dancing for us and singing. And right after they finished, a little boy came over to me. He ran across the grass, and he gave me this little toy. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's made of a little baby powder can. And it has little wheels, and it even has a front panel for it. And there it is. If you want to see it later, it'll be here. And then we went to Swaziland. And there was a big conference in Swaziland. And I think maybe I'll stand up. And they gave us, we had to assemble at 6 o'clock in the morning. And it was really hot. And they gave us this fabric. And I'll put it in Fellowship Hall so you can see it later. I wore it as a skirt, but some people wore it like this around their shoulders, and I thought you could see it better if I wore it like this. So, and then in the conference where a lot of women, there were so many, mostly women, and we were led by the police band, if you please, that were all men, to this site in the conference hall. And then they gave us these bags. And so that's my bag that says International Women's Day. SWAPO is the name of the organization that helps grandmothers and children in Africa. And this was from the march. So I'll put some of these, they'll either be up here or in the Fellowship Hall if you want to see them up close. Thank you. And Hazel, I'm really glad that you're here.
Thank you so much, Joan. We will now sing our children on our way.
Each time we gather for worship, we set aside a moment to expand the caring ministry of this congregation. Together, we recognize the cycle of life and death, the circle of love, compassion, and witness that is at the center of this and every sacred community. Let us prepare our hearts for this time of sharing with the sounding of our singing bowl. As we drop stones into the water as symbols of the many joys and sorrows that we carry, the ripples wind their way out to be held and carried by many hearts. And so, in community, we share both the burdens and celebrations of our lives and of the larger world. Today, from among our community, we share a stone of joy for Gary, as he's recovering from a successful hip surgery. We share a stone of joy for Megan as she is resting at home, recovering from her surgery. And a stone of sorrow for Judy Leishman, who was once an avid congregant here. We share our empathy for her family as she has passed. Please stop by the caring card table at the back and share any thoughts that you may have. There are cards there for Gary, Megan, and Judy's family. For stones of sorrow, as always, and joys of sorrow and concern, as always, for our world and the turmoil in many places, in Europe, in Ukraine, in the Middle East, even within Canada and the United States. May the ripples of our cares reach those who are suffering, and also the hearts of the leaders of the world, that they might create peace. May peace prevail. We offer stones of joy for those who have come here today with a joyful heart, those celebrating birthdays, anniversaries, or milestones of sobriety. We all celebrate with you. I'd like to add a stone for the fact that you all are here on this snowy day, that you braved going out, clearing off your cars, and driving on roads that are a little hazardous. Please come forward and honor your joys and sorrows by placing a stone in water. glass stone, as always, represents all that remains in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. Please let us join in a moment of silent reflection or prayer to lift all that has been shared, and we will come out of that with the ringing of the bowl.
This song is deeply personal to me, which is why I wanted to introduce it. The choir that I direct, In Harmony Choir for lesbians, queer singers, and allies, has sung it for decades. And as someone with Akkadian and Mi'kmaq ancestry, it was so lovely to discover this recent adaptation by Eastern Owl, which is an Indigenous-led women's drum group in Newfoundland. They added a Mi'kmaq chant to the piece. Warrior was initially written to speak to and for women who have experienced gender-based violence, which is also part of my own history. Today, we sing it to honor and acknowledge all the women and girls in Africa that are disproportionately bearing the burden of the AIDS crisis. Here's Three Rivers Choir with Warrior.
There was no
That was so powerful. Thank you, Jen and Three Rivers. So moving. I now would ask our ushers to please come forward. Thank you. This morning's collection, as Joan mentioned in her introduction of this service, will go to the Stephen Lewis Foundation. This congregation has a long history of care, vitality, and bringing people together to move the arc of justice forward. We've been able to live into our hopes and dreams through the generosity of those within and beyond this community. Whether you are here in Worship Hall or anywhere else, we rely on one another to keep this congregation vital and resilient. If you have any questions about how you can give in support of the work of our community, please go to our website or contact our finance manager to find out how you can make a donation and contribute to your annual pledge. If you have a smartphone handy, you can use the QR code on the screen or the back of the order of service to make an online donation. Our gifts are freely given and gratefully received. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our larger community of faith, serving human wholeness, caring for the planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. May the work of our hands and the generosity of our hearts be given in gratitude this day. Our reading this morning comes from this beautiful book, Powered by Love. And Stephen Lewis wrote the foreword. So I'd like to read a part of that foreword to you. The setting: a little copse of bush willow trees outside the Children's Clinic in Alexandra Township, Johannesburg, 2005. The inhabitants, some 20 grandmothers perched on fragile benches, all of whom had buried adult children and were looking after scores of orphaned grandchildren. The conversation, poignant stories, one after another, of crushing family loss and heartbreaking treks to the cemetery. The holdout. Everyone spoke except one woman, Agnes by name. No amount of cajoling could get her to come forward until, by inspired happenstance, a sweet song of collective commiseration brought Agnes back to the surface of life. Her story was brief and devastating. In a 2-year period, she had buried all 5 of her own children, 3 daughters and 2 sons, and was left with 4 grandchildren. They were all HIV positive. The aftermath. I raced home to tell my daughter Ilana about the encounter. This was not the first time grandmothers had emerged for me at the center of the epidemic. I remember a visit just a few weeks earlier in Lesotho, the little mountain kingdom surrounded by South Africa, trudging down the mountain in search of water, pain and despair etched in her face, was a bent, frail, 90-year-old grandmother with 19 grandchildren trailing behind. I never quite got over it. The grandmother's movement was born. Know that miracles are possible when the human spirit is unleashed. I would now ask Sheila Green to come forward to introduce our guest speaker for today.
Hello, everyone. As Lisa mentioned earlier, I'm the chair of the Unitarian Gogos, have been for a number of years. And I'm very happy to welcome Robin Scobie today. She is new to our region, and we're very excited to have her in the region. And Robin came from Vancouver. She was a member for 8 years of the Van Gogos Grandmothers Group in Vancouver. She moved this year to Ottawa and is now the co-chair of the One World Grannies. And many of you who came to the Stories on a summer afternoon concerts have met some of the One World Grannies. They're an amazing group, and we partner with them for a lot of things in Ottawa. Robin is a retired nurse who worked with diverse communities during her career. She's always been passionate about the Stephen Lewis Foundation and the Grandmothers to Grandmothers campaign, which for over 20 years has championed health and human rights to end AIDS. Robin is a proud mom of 2 sons, a mom-in-law to 2 amazing daughters-in-law, and a happy granny of 6 grandchildren, aged 6 to 20. She is in awe of the incredible courage, innovativeness, and resilience of the grandmothers in Africa, and it is her privilege to stand in solidarity with grandmothers in Africa. And today she's going to talk about her very recent visit, and I'm really looking forward to hearing it. Welcome. Welcome, Robin.
Joan. Thank you so much, Sheila, for that warm welcome and introduction. Thank you, Joan, for your stories. I was there with you. Amazing. In front of me is a cloth from Swaziland, now Eswatini, and in front of that is a cloth from Swapo. So I'll share some stories. Thank you all this morning for your very warm welcome. I'm delighted to have this opportunity today to speak about the Stephen Lewis Foundation, about the Grandmothers to Grandmothers campaign, and about our 2-week trip with the Stephen Lewis Foundation in May of this year to Eswatini and to South Africa to meet grandmothers and partner organizations. Sawubona, hello in Zulu. I'm going to take you dancing for a minute. Thanks, Julia. Everywhere we went in Eswatini and South Africa, Gogos, the Zulu word for grandmother, welcomed us with singing and dancing and warm hugs. So much joy in the face of so many challenges. The Gogos pictured here were welcoming us at Hillcrest AIDS Center Trust in Pinetown in the province of KwaZulu-Natal in the southeastern part of South Africa. Grandmothers are the pillars of their communities. From 2001 to 2006, Stephen Lewis was the United Nations Special Envoy for HIV and AIDS in Africa. And as Jonas shared in her words, AIDS was ravaging across the African continent. The very survival of communities was under threat, and almost an entire generation of women and men were lost to AIDS, leaving 11 million children without parents. So Stephen Lewis did found the Stephen Lewis Foundation, I'll refer to it as SLF, in 2003 with his daughter Alana, with the express purpose of supporting communities, community-led organizations at the grassroots level and on the front lines of the HIV epidemic. In the midst of this global health disaster, grandmothers courageously stepped forward to guide their grandchildren through the grief and toward a more hopeful future. That's where the Grandmothers to Grandmothers campaign found its roots. Canadian grandmothers rallied, determined to raise funds and support for African women who were already doing so much. And in 2006, the 16th annual International AIDS Conference was held in Toronto, and that's where the Grandmothers to Grandmothers campaign formed. 100 grandmothers came from Africa and joined 200 grandmothers from across Canada. The grandmothers from Africa shared their stories of loss and grief, of losing their children to AIDS-related illnesses, and being left with the challenges of raising their own grandchildren and other orphaned and vulnerable children in their communities. The Canadian grandmothers listened, and cried with them. So, with the first glimmer of hope for these courageous women, Canadian grandmothers pledged, "We will not rest until they can rest." The 2006 statement, written in Toronto at that time, affirmed that we are drawn together by our similarities, and I will quote, "Our deep love and undying devotion to our children, our profound concern about the havoc that HIV and AIDS has inflicted on the continent of Africa, and in particular its women and children, and our understanding that we have within us everything needed to surmount seemingly insurmountable obstacles. We are strong, we are determined, we are resourceful, we are creative, we are resilient, and we have the wisdom that comes with age and experience." Since then, there have been visits by Canadian grandmothers like Joan and like Sheila, as well as grandmothers from the UK and Australia, to countries where the Stephen Lewis Foundation has partners. This year, in May 2025, my friend Sandy and I from One World Grannies were part of 16 grandmothers and grandothers from across Canada who traveled with 6 staff from Stephen Lewis Foundation to Eswatini and South Africa. Over a 2-week period, we visited 10 SLF partners. The Stephen Lewis Foundation partners with 98 organizations, and many of these are headed by grandmothers in 14 countries most affected by HIV and AIDS in Eastern and Southern Africa. The expertise needed to end the epidemic is found at the grassroots community level. Their partnership approach is grounded in human rights, in social justice, and solidarity, not charity. Today I'll talk about how grandmothers have found their voices and strength through the support of the SLF partners, and highlight my experiences and learnings from two of these partners, one in Eswatini and one in South Africa. The situation has changed from the early 2000s. At that time, the deaths were 91.4 million, and as Joan has shared, it is now at 21.1 million. A huge change in that time. In sub-Saharan Africa, the number of AIDS deaths has decreased, where SLF has partners, has decreased from that 2.1 million in 2006 to 260,000 in 2024. Regrettably, 63% of these new infections are among young women and girls, which is 3 times their male counterparts. Grandmothers have moved from grief and despair to being active advocates for themselves and the children in their care. In 2023, Canadian grandmothers met in Winnipeg at the International Grandmothers Gathering. We met in the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. Simultaneously, grandmothers' gatherings were held in 10 different countries in Africa, and grandmothers' movements took important, powerful, and joyful steps forward. Gatherings on the African continent provided opportunities in countries with existing grandmothers' movements to prioritize policy recommendations and advocacy strategies. In other countries, the gatherings were momentous opportunities for grandmothers and community-led organizations to network and have extended time to focus on movement building and formalizing advocacy work for grandmothers nationally. With the magic of technology, those grandmothers' gatherings were brought to us in Winnipeg, and they saw us as well. Collectively, the grandmothers in Africa made the following statement. I'm going to read it for you because I think it's so critical to understanding what is going there. So, quote, as grandmothers from Eswatini, Ethiopia, Kenya, Malawi, Mozambique, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, we have held our families and communities together through multiple crises, most notably the continued HIV epidemic. Supported by our community-led organizations, and after losing our own children, we became parents to our orphan grandchildren, healed their emotional wounds, and helped them regain hope. Our love has transformed the devastation of AIDS. Hence, at the 10th anniversary, the book, Powered by Love. It truly is powered by love. To continue their words, the grandmothers of Africa demand to be included in decision-making bodies and policy discussions as representatives of older persons, women, people living with HIV, and caregivers. Nothing about grandmothers without grandmothers. Africa cannot survive without us. We are not asking for charity, for pity, nor for favors. Access to health care, protection from violence, political representation, food security, shelter, these are our human rights. We have come to claim them. End of quote. Grandmothers are driving change through grassroots advocacy. They've organized roundtables with local leaders, including health, agriculture, and the justice system. They've presented real-life challenges and offered practical solutions. They have found their collective voice, and their demands are being heard. And they have inspired the next generation who have been raised by example. Community-led organizations have been instrumental in providing holistic support such as psychosocial services, medical care, education, and food and nutrition to children and adolescents affected by HIV. These young leaders are calling upon community-led organizations and national HIV partners to center their voices, honor their expertise, and meaningfully include them in decision-making. We were privileged on our trip to see these incredible grandmothers and partner organizations in action. Our first visit was to Manzini in Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland. Eswatini is a landlocked country within South Africa, and it's the last monarchy of its kind in Africa. It's ruled by King Mswati III. It's a poor country with a population of 1.2 million. About 60% of the population live below the international poverty line, and about 30% live in extreme poverty. The international poverty line is currently set at $3 per day. Eswatini has been severely impacted by the AIDS crisis. It has the highest prevalence rate in the world. About 24% of the population are HIV positive. King Mswati III declared HIV a national emergency in 1999, saying that HIV is our collective concern. This sparked a national drive to bring the HIV epidemic under control, and Eswatini has made huge progress. It was the first African country to reach the 95, 95, 95 targets. These were set by UN AIDS in 2020. And what they mean is that 95% of all people living with HIV know their HIV status. 95% of all people with diagnosed HIV are receiving antiretroviral therapy. And 95% of all people receiving antiretroviral therapy, or ARVs, have viral suppression. The goal to have this achieved globally is 2030. In Eswatini, we visited 3 SLF partners, and one of them was SWAPO, Swaziland Positive Living. Theirs is a powerful story. SWAPO is one of the longest standing partners with the Stephen Lewis Foundation. They've been partners since 2004. And it was formed in 2001 by 5 women who were HIV positive and encountering stigma and discrimination from their families and from their communities. One of these co-founders is Sipiwe Lope. She's been to Canada, and some of you might have met her. Sipiwe is a fantastic fan and friend of Stephen Lewis himself. She was one of the first people to openly declare her HIV status in 1999, at which point her husband left her with their 4 children. But she was not defeated. From these 5 women co-founders, there are now 14,500 members in 55 communities. The support groups now also include young people who are willing to disclose their HIV status. Sipiwe continues to be a strong advocate. She brought us, in those white vans like Joan traveled in, to the first center established by SWAPO, a 2.5-hour drive in those buses over bumpy dirt roads through beautiful countryside. The entire community was there to welcome us. They rolled out the red carpet, they danced, and they sang as they welcomed us. SWAPO supports and advocates for rural communities affected by HIV, AIDS, and tuberculosis, with a focus on women and children. They continue to promote HIV treatment and adherence, address stigma and discrimination, run workshops, including on HIV and aging for grandmothers, income generation, vegetable gardening, and nutrition. When we arrived, proud entrepreneurs showed us their diverse income-generating projects. They make dish and laundry detergent. They grow peanuts to make delicious peanut butter. They grow hot peppers for salsa. They sell fruit and root veggies, and they sew clothing, such as church vestments and school uniforms. Make and sell beaded jewelry, some of which I'm wearing, and much more. The pictures you'll see behind me will show some of those entrepreneurs. The pictures are, there's about 100 from the 10 different partners we visited across Eswatini and South Africa. That day, we feasted on a huge buffet of food provided by the Stephen Lewis Foundation, but cooked over 3 days for our arrival. Beef, chicken, goat, fresh cornbread, and so much more. The Gogos were so excited we were there, all the way from Canada. They just kept smiling and smiling, and we were smiling. We were so excited to be there and to connect with these amazing, resilient Gogos who show such caring and such compassion for their communities. For many people in this area, they may have 1 meal a day or none. That day, everyone in the community went home with extra food. Then we went to South Africa, where we visited 7 SLF partners located in the areas of Cape Town and Durban. One of these was Lalanati. Lalanati is a Zulu word meaning play with us. It is located in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, where 28% of all children orphaned in South Africa live, many with their grandmothers. Lalanati focuses on providing psychosocial support for children through play by training and supporting their caregivers. They recognize the value of both children and caregivers, empowering them to be pillars of support in their homes, their families, and their communities. They've been an SLF partner since 2008 and have grown their programs from a focus on children affected by trauma and loss in the context of HIV to include the parents and grandparents who are also grieving, giving them the tools to take the next steps. At their heart of their work with adults and caregivers are handmade dolls. Here's an example of one that help to build stronger, more joyful relationships with their children. Through family support groups, they reach some of the most underserviced communities in the province. We broke into 3 small groups to visit 3 of their programs. The first, the Families of Children Project, which supports healthy early childhood development by training caregivers to understand their child's needs, emotions, and development through play, as well as training community health workers. I was at that group, and it was amazing to be there with them. There are trauma-informed youth groups that create a safe and supportive environment where youth can explore emotions, build resilience, and develop caring strategies. And the final one, which my friend Sandy joined, was a women's support group. They traveled up into the hills of the home of a grandmother who acted as a support worker for her community, as well as providing training for other grandmothers. They took part in a weekly meeting of Gogos in a rondavel, a traditional round building used for gatherings and which has spiritual significance. They sat in a circle, as we did with the babies and mums, with the help of a handmade doll, and listened and told stories of the challenges facing the grandmothers. The stories were very personal, but the safe and supportive space gave them courage. The women took strength and comfort from sharing with other women and learned from their experiences. It was a very powerful experience. So, as members of the Grandmothers to Grandmothers campaign, Unitarian Gogos, One World Grannies, and other groups across Canada and UK and Australia, we've created an unprecedented solidarity movement with African grandmothers. Powerful connections have grown from and within this community of women whose leadership continues to be at the forefront of change in Canada and on the African continent. Since 2006, more than $40 million has been raised in support of grandmothers and the community-led organizations who support them. In the face of discrimination based on gender, age, and HIV status, they are courageous advocates for their families and communities. We learn continuously from grandmothers in Africa and act in deeply felt solidarity with them to amplify their voices and affirm their goals, values, and expertise. Grandmothers in Africa are at the heart of all we do. We embrace a shared commitment to respond effectively to the HIV epidemic in Africa. It is not yet time to rest. Until we live in an AIDS-free world, we as grandmothers and grandmothers are committed to continue to raise funds in our communities. Thank you so much for your heartfelt donations here. To continue to raise funds, to continue to grow and strengthen the movement. The International Grandmothers Movement amplifies the voices and shows the world that grandmothers have a critical role to play in reclaiming hope and rebuilding resilience. In September 2026, we will celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Stephen Lewis Foundation Grandmothers to Grandmothers campaign in Ottawa. Please come and celebrate with us. Thank you for being with me here today, and thank you for listening. Take care.
Our hymn today will be Sia Hamba, number 1030 in your teal hymnals. Words will be on the screen behind me. Please rise in body or spirit. That's the one.
Robin, thank you so much for your inspiring reflections and sharing all of the magic that is happening in the Grandmothers to Grandmothers movement. Oh, so we come to the end of our service. And so the words for extinguishing our chalice today come from Rebecca Savage. We have come to the end of our service, but not our calling in the world. We close our time together with the humble reminder that justice and equity are our spiritual practices to embrace each day, every day. We are blessed to be the embodiment of what is possible. When justice and equity ground us in all that we do, may we go forth with the light and warmth of our chalice in our hearts until we gather again. Our chalice is extinguished. Please stand in body or spirit to sing our closing song, Spirit of Life, and let's send this out to all the grandmothers. May we always remember that we are people of love, providing a place in this world for our spirit, a place called home. And now, as we return to the challenge and joy of helping the world come alive in love, let us go forward with love in our hearts, sowing seeds of justice from our hands and peace in our steps. Go in peace, my friends. Go making peace. Chi miigwech.